Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood as we continue with the database reading. So, let's see, I believe we did all the people and we did the secret locations. So now let's do some of the paintings. We have St. Jerome in the Wilderness. This unfinished work by Leonardo portrays St. Jerome in the Syrian desert where he lived as a hermit. The Adoration of the Magi. The Virgin Mary holds Jesus while the Magi kneel before him in this unfinished work by Leonardo. The ruins behind may be those of the Basilica of Maxentius, which is said to have collapsed on the night of Christ's birth. Lady Within Her Mind. The model for this portrait by Leonardo is Cecilia Gallerani, the mistress of Ludovico Sforza. Portrait of a musician. This portrait by Leonardo represents Francino Gaffurio, who was the maestro di cappella of the Milanese Cathedral. And Annunciation. The Archangel Gabriel appears to Mary, revealing to her that she will conceive Jesus Christ. The setting is the enclosed courtyard garden of a Florentine villa. Leonardo made several mistakes in perspective within this composition, showing that at the age of 20 he was still learning. Oh, that was a short section, much shorter than I thought. Yeah, we did targets. So, now, when this filters all, does it filter, or is this all within Rome? I think that's all within Rome. All right, we'll do the bottom three, let's say this time, and then maybe next time we can tackle the top four. So starting with Romagna, we have the Delizia di Belrigardo, built in 1435 by Niccolo III d'Este as a summer home. Belrigardo was continuously added to until it became one of the most celebrated palaces in Italy. It featured stabling for 500 horses, secret passages, stately corridors, marble loggias, box-lined gardens, and a chapel painted by Cosimo Tura. And if that isn't enough to spark your interest, it contained a succession of vast frescoed halls leading to the Sala di Pisce, with its renowned series of murals detailing the Roman myths. To quote an awed visitor, "Seeing this beautiful palace with its glazed and iron-grilled windows, I should think that a circuit of the place would be more than a mile. Of course, all good things must come to an end, while all bad things, like aging pop divas in 70s style, are seemingly never-ending." In 1598, the Este family left, and Belrigardo became a stable with horses living in the frescoed rooms. Today, little remains of the palace. Next up, we have Navarre. The Castel Viana, a large fortified palace in Viana held by Louis de Beaumont and besieged by Cesare Borgia's army of some 10,000 men. The castle was an extremely strong natural fortification and essentially impenetrable at the time. As a result, Cesare besieged the castle to weaken the forces inside, counting on a desperate surprise attack. He got his wish. Viana. I suppose you want to know how Cesare got here. I'll indulge you. It was 1506. He was imprisoned in Castile. A sympathetic count smuggled in a robe. Cesare climbed out the window and dropped 70 feet, fracturing several bones, but his fall was broken by a servant who preceded him. Both the servant's legs were snapped, and he was left to be captured and executed. Cesare escaped in merchant's clothing and chartered a small ship in Santander. He reached Navarre, the court of his brother-in-law. At the time, Navarre was dealing with upheavals secretly led by the Castilians. The king asked Cesare to command his army of 10,000. He was to retake Viana Castle from the Count of Lerin and the Castilians aiding him. Excitedly, he wrote a letter to Lucrezia. "Once the castle has been pacified, I will regain the support of the French," and marched back into Rome. And then we have Leonardo's machines. Monte Circo, otherwise known as Cape Circo. Monte Circo now exists as a promontory marking the southwestern limit of the Pontine Marshes, about 100 kilometers southwest of Rome. On the east ridge of the promontory, geologists found remains of ancient fortifications. Who they belonged to is unclear, but it's certainly a picturesque location to bunker down. Nera, a tributary of the Tiber or Tavere, This 116-kilometer river flows almost entirely in Umbria, Italy. I might also add it has some spectacular fly fishing, which I'll likely be taking advantage of if we survive this ordeal. You are not invited. Thanks, Sean. Valneria, or Valnerina. A valley formed by the Italian Nera in the mountains of Umbria, the Valnerina was known for its winding roads and steep, narrow passes. It was a particularly challenging landscape to navigate. Monte Vesuvio, arguably one of the most fabled volcanoes in history, Vesuvio destroyed both Pompeii and Herculaneum when it erupted in 79 CE, both of which were never rebuilt. Since that catastrophe, the sleeping monster has erupted 36 times. It's still considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. Sean, you gotta improve your spelling there. In the world. As over 3 million people live within range of a major eruption. Your property is cheap right now, maybe we should invest. Porto di Napoli, located directly to the east of Castel Nuovo, the Porto di Napoli has always been a center of commerce for the city. The Porto's history reaches as far back as the Greeks, who first settled Napoli in the 9th century BCE. As the city grew, the harbor's role in the European trade followed suit. Napoli. More than 2,800 years old, Napoli, or Naples, has a deep and rich history, its roots lying in a Greek settlement founded during the 8th century BCE. Control of the city changed hands numerous times throughout its existence and for a period bounced back and forth between the Goths and the Romans. In one famous account, the Byzantine Romans retook the city by entering on its aqueduct and bypassing the heavily guarded gates. In the Middle Ages, the Normans took control and stayed in power for 300 years while their leaders and nobles feuded over who the rightful ruler was. Following their reign, control of the prosperous merchant cities shifted between a host of city-states and countries including France and Spain. French rule began in 1501 under Louis XII. French control, however, only lasted until 1505 when Ferdinand seized power in the name of Spain. During this time, Naples became one of Europe's biggest cities, second only to Paris, as well as a cultural powerhouse of the Renaissance, boasting artists like Lorana, de Messina, and Poliziano. Castel dell'Ovo. Medieval castle located on the former island of Megardi. The Castel dell'Ovo is named for a legendary Roman poet who is believed to be a great sorcerer. Legend tells us that he placed a magical egg in the structure's foundation to support it. The original edifice was a fortified villa where the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus, was exiled in 476. Some contend Romulus acquired a strong distaste for omelets during his stay there. I wonder why. Lago di Nemi. Roughly 30 kilometers south of Rome, this small volcanic lake is named for the largest town in its vicinity, Nemi. It is most renowned for its massive sunken Roman ships, the larger of which are thought to have been elaborate floating palaces of the 1st century. Some of the technology found in these ships was believed to have been invented only recently, including complex heating systems and plumbing for baths. Colli Albani. These volcanic hills stand 20 kilometers southeast of Rome. The dominant peak, Monte Cavo, has 2 small calderas, both containing lakes, one of which is called the Lago di Nini. The summit was often the site for celebrations by Roman generals after victories during the era when it was illegal for them to do so in Rome. And I believe that is all the locations we had to go to for Leonardo's machines. Let's see. Tuscany's only 2, so I think we'll do that one. Then we can do Venice and Florence, perhaps, as one episode if there's enough there. We'll have to see. Rome is definitely going to be at least one episode by itself. Tuscany, the Villa Auditore, constructed in 1920. It's a little bit ahead of when the game takes place. Excuse me. Constructed in 1290, the Villa Auditore is an important medieval predecessor to early Renaissance architecture. The villa's wonderful symmetry and ordered geometry were a revelation for its time. After a Florentine attack in 1320 left the facade damaged, Domenico Auditori, Ezio Auditori's great-grandfather, purchased the villa. Although he publicly admitted to a renovation of the facade and the addition of a painting gallery, he orchestrated a complete restructuring of the interior in secret, designing his home to double as a fortress and training ground, looking out both over the city that it protects and the Tuscan plains. Domenico was more than just an architect and a warrior. He was also a skilled engineer. Recently discovered hidden compartments and rooms with mechanisms blocking entry are several unique features of the building that make it a technological marvel as well as an architectural one. And finally, we have Monteriggioni. Built in the 13th century by the overlords of Siena, Monteriggioni was actively involved in the defense of Tuscany against Florentine attempts to gain more territory. At the front of this conflict was the Auditori family, who became the city's rulers and protectors. It was the Auditori who constructed Monteriggioni's famous walls, which can still be seen today. Although standing in opposition to Florentine desires, the Auditori had cordial relations with the Medici family, largely due to their collective Florentine roots. Monteriggioni successfully withstood attacks from Florence until in 1554 the city was betrayed. Giovannino Zetti, the keeper of the garrison in a Florentine exile, was allowed to return to Florence in exchange for the keys to the city. Extraordinarily, the Auditori were allowed to continue the rule of Monteriggioni under Florentine leadership, showing that the Medici do not forget their friends. Yeah, don't wanna... Yeah, we'll save these for next time. It might just be a short episode, and then Rome is maybe going to be 12 or 2 episodes. My mouth is going to get really dry reading all that, and I don't think they're... Yeah, we've already gone through the documents at least twice. We've seen the truth. So, yeah. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.